Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. And today I am doing a movie review of old classic, I call it classic, action, fun, kind of dumb action movie from my childhood. And it's called Bloodsport with Jean-Claude Van Damme there in the title picture there. This is a DVD I got a while back, I think at Walmart. The double feature has Bloodsport and Time Cop on it, as you can see. Um, I don't care for Time Cop. I think I've seen it once. I bought this just for Bloodsport. Normally, I like to just have when I buy. I don't like double feature DVDs. I usually don't get those. If I want Bloodsport, I would love to just have a DVD of Bloodsport or Blu-ray. Um, and I can't remember. I'm sure I've looked this up on Amazon, tried to find a Blu-ray. Maybe I couldn't find a good Blu-ray, or the Blu-ray was too expensive. They were charging too much for it. So I just stuck with this DVD that I have, which is just fine. It's kind of made in 1987, kind of a late 80s action, low-budget action flick with Jean-Claude. I believe it was Jean-Claude Van Damme's first action movie or his first starring role in a movie. So it really started his career. Um, it definitely is probably his most famous, well-known action movie that he did. He was really big in the late '80s, starting with this, all the way up into the '90s. I would say he was one of the top action stars, and definitely one of my favorite as a kid. I said, of course, stars Jean-Claude Van Damme. That's Frank Dukes. Um, we got Donald Gibb as his American friend, big guy. Leah Ayres as a reporter, turns girlfriend, love interest. And then Bolo Young is the bad guy. Chung Lee, the kind of scary looking, really jacked bad guy that he has to fight at the end. And we also get Forrest Whitaker in a small part as a CIA agent or whatever, FBI agent looking for or Frank Dukes. So it's cool to see uh, Forrest Whitaker, who's of course a great actor, Oscar-winning actor at this, today he's of course an Oscar-winning actor. At that point, he was just a solid actor, I suppose. But I mean, what a great name to have in a movie like this. You wouldn't expect, so it's kind of funny to see him in there, kind of a smaller part. Um, well, synopsis of the movie, pretty simple. Um, Frank Dukes is in the army. When he was a kid, he was trained by his neighbor, who was like a martial arts expert, and he had a son, and so that was about the same age. And so when he was a kid, he trained with this other kid, and they kind of grew up together. And he learned martial arts and became really good at it, of course. And there's a tournament. I can't remember where, China, I think, or something, or Thailand, or I don't know. And it's called the Kumite tournament. Where they invite people, or people come from all over the world, and they fight these, one hand-to-hand battles, and the winner is declared a winner of this Kumite tournament. I guess gets a trophy and the honor, because it's like the toughest tournament in the whole world. The toughest of the tough guys, the best fighters fighting this thing, and of course they get pretty bloody, get pretty beat up in this thing. Anyway, so when he's of course grown up later, then as this movie takes place, he's in the army. Gets report that I don't know if it's his master's dying and his son is dead, and so he has nobody to compete on behalf of his dojo for the Kumite tournament. So he takes the place of his son at the tournament. He decides to honor his master, sensei, whatever it is. Anyway, so he's on the run from the army. The army's looking for him because he's MIA. But he travels over there to compete in this Kumite tournament while trying to get away from the FBI that's after him there. And then he meets a reporter who's reporting on this underground tournament. It's a secret tournament and so this reporter's trying to get on the inside to report on what's going on. Anyways, and it's just about him. Anyways, he makes friends with this guy, played by Donald Gibb, who's like a big American fighter. And he gets hurt by the bad guy. I call him Chung Lee. It's kind of the reigning champ and the really cruel. Really beats his not only beats up his opponents after he beats him up, he maybe hits him one more time. He's a cheat. He's overly violent more than he needs to be. Uh, just a mean guy, anyways. And so now he wants revenge for him hurting his friend. And so all this comes up to the very end where they finally, of course, meet up in the finals for the tournament and have this, epic battle at the end. Anyway, so it's just an action movie taking place, lots of different one-on-one fight scenes, a lot of montages, and so forth. Anyways, it's kind of synopsis of the movie, as it is in a lot of Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. Jean-Claude Van Damme is kind of the master of tournament fighting movies. Uh, this one, Kickboxer, Lionheart, I believe is another one. The Quest later on in the 90s, or maybe 2000s, all tournament. I'm gonna get into compete in this tournament. It's all about winning the tournament. So he's really good at that kind of fighting style. He's very impressive, of course, fighter. And like my backstory with this movie is just I remember being a kid, and like I was probably maybe 8 years old or something, and I would flip on uh, the channels, see what was on, and I would just till I found something that looked interesting. And as a kid, of course, I always loved action movies, loved martial arts action movies, any kind of movie with either hand-to-hand combat, swords, people shooting at each other, stuff blowing up. I'm gonna watch it as a kid. And so I remember just going across, and I would come. Usually it's like TNT, TBS, USA. Usually showed these action movies. And they would show rated R action movies, but of course they would edit it out the rated R stuff, so I could watch it without seeing the more violent stuff. And of course, I'd come across Chuck Norris movies, and if I came across and Chuck Norris was in it, I'd be watching it. And of course, at some point I discovered Jean-Claude Van Damme. And of course, I became a huge fan of his. He was one of my favorite actors in the '80s, like I said, late '80s into the '90s. Definitely one of my favorite actors as far as just an action. Of course, he's not a good actor necessarily, but just as action goes, he looks so good. He has the great splits, probably the best splits you've ever seen in a movie. Of course, he's totally jacked, and he has incredible athletic moves. I mean, he's one of the most athletic fighters I've ever seen in an action movie. And that's what makes you really like watching his movies. But yeah, I don't know if this was the first movie I discovered of his. I think it was maybe the first one that I remember coming across, Bloodsport. And let's just say Bloodsport is like the best name for an action movie ever. I don't think you come up with a better name than that. I mean, you tell me, hey, you want to watch this movie called Bloodsport? And before you say anything else, I'd say, you got me right there. Write the title, Bloodsport. I'm watching it. You don't have to tell me what's about, who's in it. I'm interested just on that title, Bloodsport. I mean, it's just the greatest. Anyway, so I think I remember coming across it on TV, like I said, as a kid, and just going, what is this? Like, people beating each other up. Yeah, that's what I want to see. Uh, Anyways, and so I was watching it and just totally, blown away by the action as a kid. And just, it was one and of course, as a kid, I didn't have the ability to buy like a DVD. Or there was no DVDs, there's VHS tapes. But I didn't have the ability to go buy like a VHS tape, of course. So it wasn't until later, of course, now as an adult, I can go and buy DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff of stuff that I loved as a kid. And this is definitely one of those, my favorite movies as a kid probably is this movie, Bloodsport. So it was always like, anytime I was changing channel and I came across Bloodsport, like, oh, okay, I know what I'm doing now for the next 2 hours or whatever. I'm watching this movie. It was always a treat when he came across a movie because I couldn't watch it at any time. I can only watch it when it came on TV. So if it came on TV, I'm like, oh man, what a treat! Like I was so excited when this movie came on. I was like, all right, I'm gonna watch Jean-Claude Van Damme beat people up. That's the best thing. Anyway, so that was kind of my background. So it's a bit of a nostalgia movie. Surprisingly, yeah, I guess I'll get to that later. But anyways, yeah. I guess I go to my favorite scene in the movie. I'd go with like one of my favorite things about this movie is the soundtrack. It has this great '80s soundtrack. These '80s songs that are in here. They work so well with the movie, and I love all of it. I say my favorite part is there's a scene where or there's this montage where they kind of because they first kind of introduce Jean Claude Van goes out there and fights. They introduce Chung Li, the bad guy. He goes out there and he of course destroys his first opponent. And after that, we get into this montage of different fighters fighting to the song. I think it's called like "Fight to Survive," and just a great '80s song, and it works so well with the movie and with the action that's going on. And my favorite part is the background of the music is "Kumite, Kumite." There's like people singing "Kumite" throughout the song, and just pumps you up. Like it's like that kind of song that just like, oh, I'm pumped up. Like yes, let's see some action. Anyway, so I just love that song with all the action going on, different people fighting, and yeah, it's just every time that comes on, I'm just like totally pumped up, even now. And one thing I love about this movie, like I said, what makes it so interesting is it's a tournament fighting movie, but it has people from different. What did I don't know if anybody ever did this as well as this movie up to this point. At least they took fighters from different countries and you brought them together, so you got to see different nationalities and you got to see their different fighting styles. And that's what I really still love about the movie is you got guys that are doing Thai boxing. You see a sumo wrestler. There's a guy from Africa um, that was, I don't know, he kind of moves kind of weird and he's on the ground, he's rolling around and he jumps up on people. And he has just I don't know what kind of fight style that is, but they're very different. Of course, you get the Chinese Kung Fu style in there. So I loved all the different kind of fighting styles you get to see come together and different personalities and people from different countries. They do it again in the Quest. Even I think they even do a little even more fighting styles in the Quest, which is almost like a remake of this movie that Jean-Claude Van Damme does later on. But I think this was probably a more superior movie actually even than that one. But anyways, so that's what the things I love about the movie. I say favorite character of the movie. I mean, of course, Jean-Claude Van Damme is the hero, but I love Bolo Young as Chung Li. And Bolo Young has, he was in Enter the Dragon, first movie I ever saw him in with Bruce Lee. And then he comes in this one. He's in another Jean-Claude Van movie. I know I've seen playing a bad guy. He always plays a bad guy. He just has I don't know, he just has this face. Like, you look at him and you go, that's a bad guy. I don't know why, but he just looks like he's a mean guy that I don't want to mess with. Of course, he's like totally jacked. Like he's just, you don't see too many Chinese guys. Like he's like a bodybuilder basically, and he has this crazy eyes. He opens his eyes and he just looks something just looks crazy about him, and he hardly talks in the movie. But like I say, he doesn't need to. Just looking at him, you just know everything you want to know about the guy. And his fighting, when he's fighting, I mean, he has such great charisma around him, and he's so good at getting the crowd against him. He's a kind of a bit of a show off when he fights. He's really playing to the crowd, which I like because he knows he can beat everybody. It seems like he has all the confidence in the world that he's going to win. Anyways, but I just love any scene that he's in. He's like my favorite bad guy, I would say. Like of all the martial arts movies I watch, like he's like I put him like number one. Like he's my favorite. Anytime he shows up, which hadn't seen him too many times, but times I see him, I'm just like, oh man, you're gonna get a good fight with this guy. So I love him in the movie. I actually do like I said, I mean, it's all about the action. It's all about the fight scenes. I'd say, I mean, story wise, script wise, acting, not great. Like I said, it's not meant to be probably. But I will say I do love one storyline, and that's he meets this guy, this American, played by Donald Gibb, and they kind of bond instantly and become friends right away. And it's somehow believable, even though they just met. Somehow I do believe that they're friends. I think they do a good job with it, and they have good chemistry together. Because Donald Gibb's a little bit more outgoing, and he's more funnier. To John Claude Van Damme's a little more serious character, I would say, and isn't as probably good as an actor as a speaker as Donald Gibb. Of course, John Claude Van Damme's from like Belgium, so he has a Belgium accent or whatever, French accent or whatever. But I love that Donald Gibb's character. He gets hurt really badly by Chung Li. I'm spoiling some of the movie here, but he gets hurt really badly. Like he's in the hospital, like almost die. He almost dies from this encounter, And I just love that there's like this that friendship between them actually like makes it actually an emotional moment in between them, that he's at the hospital, mourning for his friend who's badly hurt and wants revenge for his friend, and so it gives it a good motivation, to want to beat this guy. Besides winning tournament, he wants to get revenge for him hurting his friend, which he didn't need to. He definitely went out of bounds to hurt his friend. Anyways, and then spoiler alert, Jean-Claude Van Damme wins at the end, wins the tournament, and so it's when he goes back and he gives Don Gibbs, he gives back his headband that Chung Lee stole from him, and when he gives it back to him, I mean, there's this really great like they look at each other with like so much respect and love that it actually kind of gets you a little emotional. I'm like, wow, that's actually a really good story between those two, and the chemistry and the motion between what happens. Actually done very very well for a kind of a dumb action movie. So I do like that story point a lot in the movie, and makes it even better movie than just an action movie, in my opinion. Um, but yeah, I don't know what more to say. But if you like action movie, like martial arts movies, you like a dumb movie that I say just an hour and a half probably, of just fun, not having to think too much, something you can watch just an afternoon, just for fun. Man, this is like one of my favorite movies to go back to, and I watch it all the time. Still love watching it, and it's hold up. What I was gonna say before, it's surprisingly held up pretty well. Like I still really enjoyed the movie. There's some movies I've seen when I was a kid, and then when I become an adult and I watch it, and I go, "Wow, this movie's not very good." Like I don't know why I thought it was good as a kid. Somehow your perception changed. This was one of the few movies that I feel like I watched as a kid, and like I was loved it. And even as an adult, I'm still like, I get so much joy out of this movie still. Anyway, so the DVD itself doesn't have any special features, unfortunately. It's not really those kind of movie that they're going to spend a lot of time on doing behind the scenes stuff. So I didn't expect much out of it. So again, I wish I could get like a Blu-ray of it or something, see what's on there. Um, yeah, so as a movie, I mean, I'm gonna give it 3 out of 5 stars. I'm gonna give it a light recommend, even though I like it so much. Obviously, it's definitely a niche movie and it's a lot of nostalgia for me as a kid, growing up loving this movie. That really makes me rank it that high. I'm sure a lot of people would watch this and think, "Oh, this is terrible," but I kind of understand that. I guess for me, I just have such a love for it. So I can't say it's like a movie you have to watch. I think if you're my age, around my age as a guy, I think every guy my age is a fan of this movie. So definitely watch it, or they've already watched it if you haven't. Um, I would say as just a fun, dumb movie to watch anytime, I give it 5 out of 5 stars. I would almost give it, but just as a movie, because taking in acting, the story, the script isn't all great. Obviously, it's nothing groundbreaking as far as that's concerned. The action, I mean, there's better action movies than this one, but I still get so much fun out of it. So I'm still going to give it a recommend, just a light one. Anyway, so that's Bloodsport. Uh, Thank you for watching the video. If you're watching this, hope you are. And I think hope you like it. Me talking about this kind of obscure, almost obscure action movie from the 80s. And just thank you to all the subscribers for supporting the channel. And I appreciate you all. Have a good day.